EV.
Earlier we talked on our videos a little bit about how to set up the mechanical pieces of the TurboLogix EV hardware. In these set of videos coming up, we want to talk a little bit more about the software setup, how to set it up and customize it for your particular application. Now, when you get an MP3 version of the TurboLogix EV, it's going to be preset. Everything is going to be prearranged and the titles and the labels will be pre-programmed. However, if you want to add features or change the names to something a little more customized to your product, that's easy enough to do. Now with the CMC version and also other versions that would be used for Elliott compressors or Joy compressors, each one of the inputs can be customized and labels changed so that you can make the control match up with your machine, and you can also scale it and do different ranges for different sensors and that type of thing. So anyway, today we want to go through a little bit more of a close-up view of the faceplate so that we can show you how to go about setting this up and customize it for your compressor. Now there's 2 or 3 areas that we're talking about when we mean customization. One of them is we're going to customize the data tags. And once we set up the programming for that, then you will have whatever unique tag name that you've given an input will transfer over into the analog input and digital input data pages. You'll also see on your trend logs, the analog trend logs, any analog input that you've renamed will show up there, and we'll show you some of the areas that are available to add new customized inputs and show them up, for example, on a vibration screen or a temperature screen or a pressure based screen. So we've got inputs there that we can customize and show up. And also on your event log. It's very important so that whenever you have an alarm or a trip on a machine, that is easy to identify and quickly identified. And by programming these labels in, we're able to make those changes, and whenever those inputs go awry, they'll show up on your event log with the correct name and the correct title on there. So at this point, we'll go ahead and we'll get started showing you a little bit of some of the navigation through the screen and some of the areas that will be customized and set up. Okay, let's look first at our setup screen. And that's going to be the area that we use to access information for our different labels and information that we're going to set up for the machine. Now, we always recommend that you go to your nameplate on your compressor and your motor and you write that detail down so that you can program that in and make it more unique to this processor and easily accessible for our service people or your individuals that are working on the machines. For example, we go to our user setup screen, and in the setup screen you can customize the control for the machine. You can put, for example, your control system type in, your language, your valve control methodology, the unit serial number, the customer name, the machine reference, the manufacturer, the model number, and this is very important. You also need to program in the number of stages. Now when you turn on the system and you put in, for example, you have a 3-stage machine and you program in the number of compression stages you have, it turns on unique features and it also hides features. For example, if it's not a 4-stage machine, all the 4-stage and 5-stage components will not show up on the main screen. However, everything for your stage 1, 2, and 3 will show up once you program that in. Also, you can put in your design capacity and also your design pressure. Also in the user setup area, we will have multiple languages that we support depending on what area that the product is shipped into. For example, if it goes into Asia, more than likely we're going to have Japanese, Chinese, and Korean text. That'll be our standard along with English. If we're talking South America, we're going to be looking at Portuguese and Spanish. If we're going to Europe, then we're going to be talking Italian and German and what other languages that are unique or desired for those areas. We will have the capability to set those languages up, and then by pressing these buttons, change all of our text over to that on the different displays. Let's look at one thing. Here you've got a lot of information programmed in. If you go to the main screen, for example, we've got information down here. Here is your customer reference, and then also your serial number that we placed in. That's information that shows up here. If we go into the info screen, for example, here we have the unit serial number, the customer name, the machine reference, the manufacturer, the model number, the design pressure, and the design flow. That's all name tag information that shows up here, and that'll keep you from having to crawl around on the compressor looking for data and for information in the future. We also have a way to program in the motor information. So if you've got a motor, for example, this is a Siemens motor that we're referencing, you put that information into the motor setup screen, that will show up on this display. Let's go back to the setup screen real quick and I'll show you what happens here. What you end up doing is you'll end up pressing your finger over whatever label that you're wanting to put in. And you'll notice that it's got these dashed lines here. Let's press that right here. Oh, guess what? It told me with that double beep sound that I'm not able to get in without a password. So I go here to my password. And if I want to program, I want to go to the operator level 3 password. We'll return to that. Now, whenever I press this key, all of a sudden now I've got a keyboard that comes up and I can type in any kind of information that I want. So for example, I wanted to put this in to the control system type. So let's call this the TurboLogix. Okay. Now all of a sudden my control system type tag has changed to TurboLogix. So it's easy enough to do. Most all of our tags, you'll either have a full keyboard that'll come up that you can program, or if it's a numeric value that's entered, you'll have basically a small calculator keypad that'll come up. So anyway, I wanted to make reference to this. This was a 2-stage machine that we set this example up for, and you'll notice I have on my main screen, I've got my oil temperature and pressure, my inlet air temperature, my first stage pressure, temperature, and vibration, and my second stage pressure, temperature, and vibration. If I'm over here at the setup screen, I can go in here and change this number of stages to 3, for example. Let's go back to the screen. And now if you'll notice, I've added the 3rd stage of pressure, temperature, and vibration. So all that information is keyed off of that stage input, or the number of stages that's found in the user setup.